Here's the problem. Was I wrong? You decide. I found something about my own dad so big it ruined my life before it started. I thought it was my future. I really did. He laughed. It was all a joke to him. I was humiliated. Everyone saw. The whole room. He just made it all a big, fat joke. Have you ever been so embarrassed you just wanted to die? I have. Because of him, my father. So you tell me, was I wrong for what I did next? Let me back up. I'm Alex. My family is normal, I thought. We did the typical things, vacations, birthday dinners, holidays together. Normal, right? My dad, David, worked a high-stress corporate job. My mom, Janet, was always busy, always planning things for us. I was just me. Growing up, I did fine. Went to college, got a degree in marketing, started my career. Everything was following a path. I always pictured that path including someone special. But relationships were tricky for me, never quite stuck. My family always hinted in that subtle, annoying way about when I'd find the right person. Dad especially made little remarks here and there. Not malicious, just, expected comments about when I was gonna settle down. I brushed them off. Then I met Michael. He was different, patient, funny, we just clicked. It was the first time I felt like maybe all those hints from my family weren't just pressure. Maybe they were right. Maybe this was it. We dated for 2 years. He got along great with my family, my dad especially, or so I thought. They'd talk sports, work stuff. Michael was respectful even when my dad would dominate the conversation with his opinions. I appreciated that Michael tried. He knew how much family meant to me. The day Michael proposed, it felt perfect. Simple, intimate, just us. When we told my parents, they seemed genuinely happy. Mom immediately started talking wedding planning. Dad clapped Michael on the back, gave me a hug. For the first time, it felt like I was finally meeting those expectations. I wasn't just Alex, the single daughter, I was a bride-to-be. The excitement was real. We decided on a small, close friends and family engagement party. Nothing fancy, just to celebrate. The planning started. Mom was in her element, choosing invitations, planning the menu. Dad seemed involved too, offering suggestions, helping coordinate logistics. Michael was supportive through it all. It felt like a team effort. I was so wrapped up in the anticipation, the happiness, that I completely missed the subtle changes in Dad. He started working longer hours, sometimes staying late into the evening. Mom attributed it to end-of-quarter pressure at work. He also seemed more distracted, sometimes disappearing on personal calls during family dinners. Michael noticed too, even mentioned Dad seemed off once or twice. But we dismissed it, focused on our upcoming celebration. One evening, about 2 weeks before the party, Dad left his work laptop open on the kitchen counter while he went for his evening walk. A habit of his, reviewing emails even during his breaks. I needed to send a quick email about the florist and his laptop was right there. As I opened his inbox, I saw several unread emails from a sender I didn't recognize. J. Smythe. Curious, I clicked on one. The subject line was checking in on project updates. The content, however, was far from business-related. It was personal, intimate even. References to previous meetings, inside jokes, even an attached photo of them together in a setting that was clearly not professional. My heart pounded. I shouldn't be snooping, I knew, but I couldn't stop. I read more emails, dozens of them going back months. Emails discussing clandestine meetups, complaining about home pressure, expressions of affection. It was J. Smythe, but the tone was undeniable. My father was having an affair. The realization hit me like a physical blow. The secrecy, the late nights, the distractions, it all made sense. I felt sick. How could he, all these years, the image of my parents' happy marriage? Was it all a lie? And my mother, did she know? The thought of her obliviousness broke my heart. Part of me wanted to confront him right then and there. Scream, yell, demand explanations. But then I looked at the attached photo again. J. Smythe. A woman, younger, looking happy, smiling next to my father. The person I always looked up to, who I thought was the cornerstone of our family. This whole time, he was living a double life. I spent the next few days in a daze. I couldn't talk to Michael about it. It felt like too big a burden to share, especially now. I couldn't talk to Mom. The idea of devastating her was unbearable. I tried to act normal around Dad, but every interaction felt forced, strained. He must have noticed something was off, but maybe he was too preoccupied with his own secret. I needed more evidence, needed to understand the scope of it. I cautiously checked his laptop again one evening when he was preoccupied. The emails were still there. And then I found a folder named Personal Expenses. Inside, I found receipts for dinners at expensive restaurants on dates that were suspiciously aligned with the times he claimed to be working late or traveling for business. Receipts for hotel bookings for one person, often on weekends when he supposedly had conferences. Gift receipts for jewelry and expensive perfume, none of which had been given to my mother or me. It was all there, laid out in black and white. The engagement party felt like a countdown to doom. I tried to focus on Michael, on our love, on the excitement of celebrating our future. But the image of those emails, the receipts, the photo, it haunted me. I found myself scrutinizing everything my father said and did. His easy charm with Michael, his attentive manner toward Mom, it all felt like a carefully constructed performance. Was he genuinely happy for me, or was this also just another act? The contrast between his public persona and private actions was jarring, disturbing. Then came the night of the party. The atmosphere was celebratory. Friends and family gathered, offering congratulations, laughter filling the room. Mom was radiant, mingling with guests, her face lit up with pride and joy. Michael was beaming, holding my hand tightly. And Dad, ever the host, was everywhere, ensuring drinks were full, engaging in lively conversation. For a brief moment, surrounded by love and celebration, I almost let myself forget, almost let myself believe that everything was as it should be. The toasts began. Michael's best man gave a heartfelt speech about how they met, their friendship, how happy he was for us. My mom's sister spoke about how I always deserved someone as wonderful as Michael. Then my dad stood up, clinking his glass against his plate to draw attention. The room fell silent. He smiled, a confident, practiced smile. "To my beautiful daughter, Alex," he began, "and to Michael, the man who finally realized what a special woman she is." There was polite laughter. Then he continued, his tone shifting slightly, becoming almost mock-serious. "You know, growing up, Alex was always sensitive, a deep thinker. Not always the loudest in the room, not always the center of attention. Sometimes I wondered if she'd ever find someone who could truly appreciate that, who would be patient enough, persistent enough to see what a gem she really is." The laughter became a bit more sparse, awkward glances exchanged. Honestly, there were times when I joked with Janet. "Well, if this continues, no man is going to want her." The words hung in the air, sudden and sharp, piercing through the celebratory atmosphere. There was a gasp from some of the guests, an audible, awkward silence settling over the room. I looked at Michael, his smile frozen, his hand tightening around mine. I looked at Mom, her face turning pale, her eyes darting between Dad and me. And then I looked at my dad, his expression one of slight self-satisfaction, as if he just delivered the wittiest line of the night. The humiliation washed over me, hot and intense. In that one moment, in front of everyone I cared about, he had reduced years of my growth, my personality, my very being to a cruel joke about my desirability. It wasn't funny. It wasn't endearing. It was hurtful, dismissive, and deeply insulting. And the fact that he said it so casually, as if it were common knowledge between him and Mom, made it even worse. All those subtle comments over the years, all those times I thought I was just oversensitive. Here it was, laid bare, confirmed by the man who was supposed to be my protector, my biggest cheerleader. The party continued, but for me it was over. I went through the motions, accepted hugs, managed a strained smile. But inside I was churning. The sadness, the confusion, the betrayal of his affair, and now this public humiliation. It was all too much. All the love and respect I had for him evaporated, replaced by a cold, hard resolve. He had destroyed my trust, insulted my worth, and now he was going to face the consequences. So that's the situation I was in, and I had to make a choice. A choice that would change everything, tear our family apart, and expose the man I once admired for who he truly was. I knew what I had to do. The next few days were a blur of planning and determination. I didn't tell Michael, not yet. This was my battle. The thought of exposing my dad's affair during the party crossed my mind, but I dismissed it. That would just be causing more drama, involving innocent guests. No, this needed to be more impactful, more decisive. A few days after the engagement party, I asked Mom and Dad to come over to my apartment. I told them there was something important we needed to discuss. Michael knew I was having a serious conversation with my parents, but not the details. When they arrived, the tension was palpable. Dad looked slightly wary, Mom looked anxious. We sat in my small living room, the atmosphere thick with unspoken words. I started slowly, my voice calm but steady. "There's something I need to show you," I said, reaching for my laptop. I had carefully curated the evidence, copies of the emails, a printout of the personal expenses folder, even a copy of the photo of him with his mistress. I laid it all out on the coffee table. For a long moment, there was silence. Dad looked at the papers, his face draining of color. Mom just stared, confusion turning into dawning comprehension as she started reading. "What is this?" she asked, her voice trembling. "It's proof, Mom," I replied. "Proof that Dad hasn't just been working late or traveling for business." I pointed to the emails, explained their content. I showed the receipts for dinners and hotel rooms. I showed the photo. "And Dad," I turned to him, "while you were busy making jokes about me being unwanted at my own engagement party, you were leading this double life, lying to all of us." Mom started crying silently. Dad just sat there, mouth agape, seemingly speechless. Then he tried to bluster. "Alex, you don't understand, it's not what it looks like." "It looks exactly like what it is, Dad," I cut him off. "Affair with a woman named Jay Smythe, secret meetups, expensive gifts using family money, lying about your whereabouts." I continued, detailing everything I had found. "And after all that, you have the audacity to stand in front of everyone we know and mock me, to make me feel less than, to make me doubt myself." He finally slumped back in his chair, defeated. Mom was openly sobbing now, her whole body shaking. "How long?" she managed to gasp out, looking at Dad. "How long has this been going on?" He hesitated, then muttered, "Over a year." Over a year of deceit. A year of lying to her, to me, to all of us. The magnitude of his betrayal hit her hard. The confrontation went on for hours. Accusations were made, tears shed, explanations offered and rejected. Dad tried to downplay it, said it was a mistake, a momentary lapse in judgment. But the sheer volume of emails, the carefully tracked expenses, the consistent pattern of deceit spoke otherwise. Mom was devastated. Everything she thought she knew about her husband, her marriage, her life was a lie. Her pain was raw, palpable, and it tore at me. But seeing Dad finally having to face the consequences of his actions, seeing the mask slip and the truth exposed, brought a small sense of closure. The aftermath was messier than I could have imagined. My parents separated almost immediately. Dad moved into an apartment. Mom stayed in the family home, attempting to pick up the pieces of her shattered life. Michael was supportive, although the news shocked him deeply. Our wedding planning came to a grinding halt, neither of us having the heart or energy to focus on celebration. The news eventually spread through our family circle. Some relations were shocked, others whispered that they always suspected something. Dad tried to maintain appearances, tried to act like it was an amicable separation, but the truth was out there. The relationship between my father and me was irrevocably fractured. The cruel words at my engagement, the years of hidden deceit, the pain he caused my mother, it wasn't something I could simply forgive and forget. We talk occasionally now, mostly brief, formal exchanges about family logistics. There's no warmth, no closeness, only a painful awareness of what was lost. Sometimes I look back and wonder if I should have just confronted him privately, maybe spared Mom the public humiliation of the discovery. But then I remember his smirk at the engagement party, his casual insult, and I know that I made the right decision. His actions had consequences, and he needed to face them. And that's where I'm at now, trying to build a life with Michael, trying to support my mom, trying to navigate this new reality. My perspective on love, marriage, and family has shifted profoundly. I still believe in commitment, in finding someone to share your life with, but I now know that appearances can be deceiving, that trust is fragile and easily broken. And sometimes, the people you look up to the most are the ones capable of the deepest betrayal. So tell me, was I wrong? Was I wrong to expose his lies, even if it caused so much pain? Was I wrong to react so strongly to his insulting toast? Or would you have done the same in my shoes, faced with the overwhelming evidence of his deception and his disrespect? The journey to healing and rebuilding trust will be long and arduous, but at least now, it's built on a foundation of truth, not a facade of happiness. And that, in itself, is a small victory. Thanks for listening to my story. I know it's a heavy one, and I appreciate you sticking with me through it all. It's been tough sharing something so personal, but hopefully my experience can resonate with someone, maybe even provide some perspective or courage. Before I go, if you were on my side after hearing all of this, please consider giving this video a like. And if you want to hear more stories like this, some funny, some dramatic, some just plain crazy, be sure to subscribe to the channel. Seriously, though, what do you think? Did I do the right thing, or was I out of line for how I handled it all? Share your final thoughts on this whole mess in the comments section below. I really do want to know. And with that, I'll see you all in the next story.